Yes, sir.
Bill?
Yeah, I just wanted to comment on the Board of Finance appointments. I usually wouldn't do this, but I think these are somewhat unusual circumstances. And beyond that, except for maybe your board or the Board of Education, this is probably the most important board in the town, being so responsible for our finances. So I just think anybody, from whatever party, mine included, should be asked these questions and should have to answer them publicly. Why do you want to be on the Board of Finance? Do you have any particular agenda? Do you have any particular financial experience that might qualify you to be on the Board of Finance? Perfectly reasonable questions, I think, that should be answered. And in the case of Ms. Santos, I understand she's on the board of the library. And I think we had a prior member of the Board of Finance who was also on the library board. I think it's a clear conflict of interest when we give so much money to the library, and I think that you have to pick which one you're going to be on. You either got to be on the Board of Finance or the library board. So I would suggest that she should be required to resign from the library board. Other than that, I have no problem with it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks, Phil. Anybody else this morning?
I would like to just chime in. I think it's really important to note that the last few years since 2010, the budgets have been defeated repeatedly. It's really important to have people on the Board of Finance who the taxpayers trust and have confidence in. The two people that you have nominated this morning, one of whom has thrown invectives at the Clinton taxpayers repeatedly. The other one's been on the patch saying things like the taxpayers are outrageous and disgusting. This does not create confidence in their decision making, that they're making decisions in the best interest of everybody, including taxpayers. And I would urge you to think very carefully about appointing these two people to the Board of Finance. And I have a couple of pieces of information I think you should have. One is regarding one of these appointees or candidates' background in terms of a recent bankruptcy filing, which I think puts that person in question, and also a collection of that person's comments on the patch. I think both of these pretty much disqualify that candidate, and I think the other one is the conflict of interest. I think you do need to resolve that, aside from the fact that you've been very hostile toward taxpayers in some of her comments. Thank you very much.
Okay. Thanks, Kirk. Anybody else?
I'd just like to say I'd like to thank these people for stepping forward. They've both been involved in the community for a number of years. It's very difficult to find people to step up to boards and commissions in this day and age, especially with the everything that goes on with Patch. I don't even read Patch anymore. Mr. Carr is a frequent supporter of Patch with many comments. I'm sure that there's many of us in this room that have faced financial difficulty. I know many people personally that have filed for bankruptcy and they climb back out, and that's what bankruptcy there is for, is to allow people a chance to rebuild themselves. As far as supporting the town, I've always supported the town budgets, and I think the Board of Finance did a wonderful job this year. These people weren't even included on the Board of Finance, any of the deliberations that were done this year. So I think they're perfectly qualified and eligible to be members of the Board of Finance. It's a learning experience. Everybody comes on learning. We don't get CPAs that jump out at us to find on either side to jump out to become members of the Board of Finance. And I'd just like to thank them for stepping forward and trying to make Clinton the best place it can be.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else?
I just want to say that the Democratic Town Committee did overwhelmingly support Lori, and they also unanimously supported Leah. And I think that was our right to pick someone that we felt that they were the right candidates, and we hope that would be respected.
Okay. Derek?
I've known Leah, she's a good friend of the family, and for somebody to question her financial stability, Kirk, is just absolutely ridiculous. somebody who unfortunately, probably in the years of 2008, which I myself went through financial difficulty, I myself could have lost my business through no fault of my own. For Leah to come out of that and do what was best for her family, to still own her home, to still own her car, and still be able to be here and try to be on the Board of Finance, good for her. That's the person I'd like to see sitting on the Board of Finance.
Okay. Andrew?
Well, I too am a taxpayer, and represent, I think, the regular taxpayer of the community, and I can't think of two more dedicated individuals to this town in the time and effort and energy that they've given to making this a great place to live, and I unanimously and 100% support those candidates.
Okay. Anybody else?
Yes.
Okay,
You asked. No, I would just like to say that I would doubt that there are many people here who have been in town or out of town or whatever, and they didn't go through tough times when they first started out. I mean, we never had to file bankruptcy, but certainly if we had to, we would have done it and done what we had to do. I think it's important to understand that when people are going through hard times, they appreciate the value of money. Because I know I do. I appreciate the fact that it's not easy to come by, and you appreciate what people need and what you can do. And the fact that they've stepped forward to help their town, I think, is admirable and not something that should be criticized.
Okay. All right. Brad, any questions, Chairman of Board of Finance?
Service equals commitment. You know, I think one of the most important things for anybody who gets appointed to the Board of Finance is that they show up. Attendance is half the battle. Being told that about spreading horrible information, even though it might be factual, it's meant to give a mark on Leah's record, and we shouldn't judge her for it. Bankruptcy is something that's available to anybody. It's a law. It allows somebody to start afresh. She made a difficult decision despite probably not wanting to do it, because I don't know anybody who wants to file bankruptcy. And I just think it's unfair if anybody judges her because of it. And Lori, I know she's committed, and I want people who are committed, who are going to attend meetings.
Okay, thank you. All right, anything else? She's got his Cardinals jacket on today.
I just want to say that I think it's very hard in this town, or probably any town, to find people to step forward to serve on these committees. It takes a lot of time, a lot of effort. And I think if they're going to be vilified at any point, we're not going to have anybody stepping forward.
You know, I'd just like to remind you that it goes both ways. I was totally vilified during my campaign for first selectman, and no one thought that was off the guard or under the belt or anything else. My life was examined under a microscope, and I was found wanting, and I was publicly humiliated for an action that took place months and months and months before the campaign. So, let's just keep the board level here. Let's just keep the board level. We are the product of our history.
All right, let's start.
Unfortunately, it's part of being in the public eye.
We are the product of our history.
You're gonna be subject to, and I deal with it every day.
Well, let's just start from now on. Let's
From
just
now
try
on, how convenient.
Thank you. All right, let's move on to the approval of minutes of March 27th.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes March 27th.
Second? Second? Anybody? Nobody wants a second? Second? Jeez, John, nobody, Ray and John are sleeping.
Yeah, I know. Well,
Ray wasn't here. He wasn't here.
I don't know whether to discuss my problem with the minutes for last week or the week before, where the minutes were misinterpreted and mishandled.
The minutes selectmen's report.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Yep, okay, then, aye.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None, abstention,
I'll
motion carried. Ray was
Yeah, I wasn't
abstaining.
present.
Okay.
Although I watched the meeting on the video clip, so.
Thank you, sir.
Yes.
All right. All right, resignation appointments, we're on to it. We
We've gotten a letter from the Democratic Town Committee recommending Leah Saunders for Board of Finance for a full seat, and Lori Santos for Board of Finance for an alternate seat. Both seats will expire this November for the next local election.
All right, I'll move the appointment.
Which one? Both of them?
Yes.
Okay.
I think we should do them individually.
Do an individual, right?
All right, I'll move Leah.
Okay.
Second.
All right, discussion, I'll leave. She's here, you want to ask a question?
Yeah, I have a few questions.
Okay.
John?
You go first.
All right. Leah, what are the qualities and credentials that you bring to the Board of Finance? First, what are your credentials? What's your background?
My background is, I have a degree, a BS in political science, sociology is my major. I've been involved in town politics, in town budgets.
What was your involvement in the town budgets?
I've been at Board of Selectmen meetings, Board of Finance meetings.
I've seen you at these meetings. I've never seen you raise your hand or contribute a thought to any of these meetings.
Is that required? I
No,
can't
but
just sit and
it's
listen.
customary.
No. Budget and finance meetings and select meetings are the only visitor section.
Well, I don't think just being in attendance
take-
at
we
a
don't take
meeting
questions from the crowd during a
qualifies
meeting.
you for that committee. I don't think being in attendance means anything.
Well, I don't know that any of us on the Board of Selectmen, prior to being on this board, came to Board of Selectmen.
I
because they
did.
contributed.
I did. I mean, I've been to 100 baseball games, but I don't consider myself a pitcher. I don't think being at a meeting qualifies you as a candidate for the role. Do you have a financial background?
No, I'm not a CPA. However, I have my own
Well, I
checking
think
account.
there's only
and-
one CPA on the Board of Finance, so that's not mandatory.
Okay, well,
But most everybody has a strong financial background.
well, I run my household. I don't know what,
And you did go into bankruptcy.
we did file bankruptcy. We were advised by an attorney that that was what we needed to do when my husband's company tanked because of the economy. So I did what we had, I wasn't working at the time. He was the head of household. So I was kind of the casualty of war. I was not responsible for his business. I did nothing to run his business. I was just tied to the house. And in order to save my house, so my kids could have a place to live, that's what I was advised to do by an attorney.
All right.
It had nothing to do with my abilities.
Does anybody else have a question before I ask another one?
Keep going,
All right, so essentially you're saying you do not have a financial background, you do not have a budgetary background, and frankly, I go to a lot of Board of Finance meetings, and I don't recall seeing you there. I have seen you at budget hearings, I've seen you at hearings, I've seen you at planning meetings, I've seen you at every selectmen's meeting, but not seeing you at the finance meetings. So do you have any experience with the history of taxes as they have evolved in Clinton? I mean, do you know what the mill rate was last year versus this year?
I do know some bits of it. I'm going in there knowing that there is a learning curve. I don't know everything I need to do.
Well, the learning curve begins today, because
I
if you're
understand.
voted in today, my guess is you'd be sworn in today and a public hearing is tonight. How well prepared are either one of you to participate in that public hearing tonight? Those Board of Finance members do a lot of homework.
I understand.
A lot of homework. They probably put in, each of them, 4 or 5 hours a week preparing themselves for these meetings. Are you prepared to take a seat on that panel tonight?
This was a big decision that I made. It wasn't, I didn't just wake up one day and say, I'm gonna.
Yes or no?
Yes.
Lori? Yes or no?
Yes, of course.
All right. Do you know what Clinton's current mill rate is? Just out of curiosity.
Not at the moment, no, I do not.
Ask me.
All right, I don't know who does. Yeah.
25.49.
180. 180.
All right, so there you go.
See? Careful what you ask for.
Not until 25, because every other town around us
With the
is
current
like
budget, proposed budget, potential would be 25.49.
There you go.
There you go. All right, you were, one of your number was right, just in the wrong place.
Okay, all right. And I want you to keep in mind that, oh, Lori, in regards to the library, I don't know if you understand the significance of the library budget. The library this year has requested $740,000. And this is a library that doesn't allow us a seat on the board vote in their decisions, nothing, $740,000. The fire department, our entire fire department gets $326,000. Our entire social services budget, youth and family, is $241,000. Our entire park and rec budget, which is Shellfish and Harbor Commission and Park and Rec, is $302,000. See why we're so questioning the library? Because that is a hugely significant number in the town budget. You can't just say, oh, I love the library, we have to give them everything they want. Because their portion of the budget is more than any of these two huge public services combined. It is a very significant force in our budget. So we need to know that you could be impartial in regards to the library budget and looking at it. It's not just up, up, up every year. You have to look at what it's comprised of and be objective in its assessment. Do you feel like you could do that?
You're voting on both right now?
No.
I was.
Oh, that's right, I'm sorry,
Sorry,
I
you can
forgot,
ask the
I
question.
forgot.
No, you go ahead and ask.
But that was my only question.
You can ask
to
the
board,
question.
Because
I'd
that
rather
is,
get it over.
it is a very significant number. Do you think you could be objective as far as that goes?
Yeah, I think it's a significant number, but the comparisons between the various departments are really not what
Well,
I
it is,
consider.
because these are departments that the entire town
Can
benefits
you
from.
not interrupt me?
Okay, yeah.
They're very different departments. The department, the fire department, public works, all the different departments in town are very, very different. The library is, provides a public service and has thousands upon thousands of people coming into, not different people, but people that are using the library. And there's a very different component to it. And the main question that you have is whether I can be objective. Of course I can be objective. I do not see being on the library board as being a conflict of interest. I am not a paid employee of the library. I have no financial gain to, potential financial gain by doing one thing or the other. I am happy to speak with the town attorney about that, to see, and get other opinions from people to see what they think. I mean, it seems to me to be a conflict of interest in my mind has to do with financial gain or material gain of some sort.
The two previous members that have removed themselves from board trainings were both on the library board, and Patty Ames and Steve Lilquist, and they had a very hard time dealing with library requests.
Patricia Ames was not in the library.
No, she wasn't.
Was her, I
No,
thought it was.
She was part of the Gala committee when they did the.
Okay, well, anyway, I just wanted to ask that question. And it is relevant that it's a social service to the town, because the library is a choice. Park and Rec, with our Shellfish Commission and our Harbor Commission, is not a choice. That's something that the entire town benefits from. The fire department, that is not an option for the people in town. The social services, that's not an option either. These are required services that the town has. The library is an option. The library is not something that a lot of people in town participate in. I know people who've never set foot in a library. But anyway, that's just my opinion. Okay, I have another question. And Dolly, you said in this day and age, no one has a clean slate, right? Well, also, in this day and age, we are the sum of our parts. And anybody who's applying for a job anywhere is told to be very careful what they put on Facebook, what they publish, with their name attached to it. And Leah, frankly, your postings on both Facebook and Patch are revolting. I mean, that's a very strong word, but I mean it. I mean it. You use foul language on Facebook repeatedly.
Excuse me?
Yeah.
First
yeah.
off, we're not even friends on Facebook, so how would you see my page?
Because there are ways.
Oh,
There are ways. So I'm not saying everything you put out there is public. and your public persona is not a positive, giving, open reflection of what I think Clinton should stand for, okay? Not to even mention what I see here and the names that you have personally called me, plus a very active association of taxpayers in town. This is not an open-minded individual. And you are the sum of your parts. If you were applying for this job and your employer saw these postings, I don't think you'd stand a chance.
We're not here to lecture.
All right, well, I'm just making my
You have a
point.
question regarding that? or-
Okay,
So you could see.
yeah, my question is, what good do you think this does?
Are the comments that I was referring to on there, or is it just
I
one-sided?
don't think that's
view?
relevant. All I'm
It is
talking about
relevant.
It goes
what
both
I'm
ways.
It
talking
goes
about
both ways.
is
It's a
your
two-way street.
response.
The relationship with Kirk
I
and
am
Dave is a
talking
two-way street.
about postings that you posted.
And
No
it was
one
a-
makes you put your
And it was a
fingers
year
on a
ago.
typewriter.
A year ago, what did you post a year ago?
Well, listen, it's
Is it
fine.
I have
something-
never posted an
Fine.
ugly personal rant.
So here,
at
here,
any
all
point.
right, that's it.
Never.
Is there a question regarding with that?
Why? Why'd you do it? Obviously, you weren't thinking
That's
of public aware before
That's
that.
not a question regarding the
It
board of
is a
finance.
question.
Not regarding the board of finance. Okay, any other questions? All right. Filibustering?
All right, no, well, maybe. Can either way you define capital expenditures for me and what the difference between capital expenditures and an operating number is, figure is?
There's nobody on the board of finance that knew that before we went into it.
I don't think
Because that's not part of a typical
Well, if you've been
budget.
attending every meeting and you're well versed and you're well informed.
Carol, you are
that-
such a bully.
Stop
I
it.
am,
Stop
I
it.
am, because I do not think that this is a qualified individual. And I want to make that point.
We'll show
And
that.
I would like to
We'll show
make
that.
that point. I have one more point to make. And that is that when we put specific individuals on the board of selectmen, they were asked the question, would you vote politically or would you vote in the best interest of the town? And both of them said, we would never vote politically, we would vote in the best interest of the town. And I'm hoping that they keep that in mind when this vote comes up very shortly.
Good. Any other questions for Leah?
I want you to consider this is in the best interest of the town.
It's a very, like Brad said, showing up's, 90%.
That's not true.
But when you get there, I wish, and no offense, I don't care about your personal bankruptcy or anything, I think that's ridiculous. But I wish you had more experience in finance, and, maybe this board, I don't think is, the Board of Finance is one to learn on the job as much as some of the other ones. I hope, if you do get on, I hope you prove me wrong or prove us wrong. It is tough to anybody volunteer. Look at this. It's like, who wants to go through this, I'm so, it is tough.
Well, when you say, would anybody want to go through this, we went
No,
through
I
an
understand
election.
that, and
We went
but-
through an election
Two wrongs don't make a
where
right.
every facet of your
so
life is questioned.
I've been through four,
If you
five.
But I do
went through
recommend-
an election, do you feel you would be elected?
Yes.
You do?
Well,
Do you?
she can prove
She
that
can
in
prove that
November.
potentially in November.
No.
But
because
my
that
point
would
is,
put
I do
you towards
recommend that you
90%.
stay off, I never go on those things, I don't know what, you should, because it doesn't benefit anybody commenting back and forth. I don't care if you think you're right or wrong or whatever, it doesn't, it doesn't look good for anybody. I mean, you or the person you're battling with, or group you're battling with, especially if you're on a board as important as the Board of Finance. I think there's going to be tough things for you, and I hope, if you get on, that you could make a decision that, not just for your party. And I know unfortunately, a lot of people vote for their party. And I think you got to vote for, honestly, what's right. And, you can't just, if the school, say, was potentially going to bankrupt the town, no matter what, don't vote for the school or whatever. You got to vote what you think's right, or vice versa. So I just hope if you do get on, that, you learn quick and really do your homework. And it's not just being on there and showing up. It's, like Carol said, it's hours of, it's more important than this board, really, when it comes down to it. And for qualifications. You know, I would rather, you know, see somebody that's a CPA, but obviously no one's stepping forward. When Valerie and I did, that was a, you know, that's something that Board of Finance should be, but obviously no one wants to volunteer. You know, and it's not even just because of getting ridiculed, it's just no one has the time, or the people that do have the time are usually older and have either retired or have a, you know, not bringing kids to soccer and stuff like that, so it is nice to see someone younger volunteering, but I just wish you had more qualifications.
All right, anything else? All right, motion and second. All in favor of Leah?
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
I'll vote yes. It's a tie.
Good job.
Congratulations this morning. All right, next, Lori. Motion for Lori. Second on that.
I'll second.
Discussion with Lori. Carol already got her pretty good. Anybody else have any questions for Lori? Again, it's about the time, it's about the homework. Theoretically, you get voted now, you get sworn in. I hope that both of you actually would get a copy of the budget and try to take a look at it before tonight. That would be helpful. I'm a little surprised, quite frankly, I'm a little pissed that the two of you are up for these positions and have never taken the time in the last 2 or 3 weeks to actually pull the budget out and take a look at what's out there, knowing that this was going on today, but that's another story for another day. But that's my lecture. Okay? So I have a motion and a second. Any comments? All right, all in favor of Lori?
Aye.
I do have a comment. Would you be willing to resign from the Board of the Library in order to take this seat?
I can't answer that at this time. No.
Okay,
Yeah,
that's my question, that's the answer.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
So it's 3-1, and I'll go yes. All right. None abstentions, no no's. Congratulations, get sworn in at 9 o'clock. All right, hopefully this is a little easier. Here we go. There's a Public Works, and there was a little confusion as to what, where, who went on, what, this and that, the other thing. There's a vacancy at full seat, which typically what we do is there's an alternate that's been serving for a while. We always try to move the alternate up if we can. Everybody kind of had the feeling that Mike Hesser was at full seat for some reason, I don't know why. But he was put on as an alternate several years ago. A year ago, and he goes to all the meetings and participates well. So, and then Bob Smith has expressed interest for a long time to try to get involved, particularly with Public Works, because he does do a lot of dealings with Pete and Park and Rec and this and that, with fields and all that stuff. Very involved.
Yeah.
So, first thing I'd like to do, if I could, we could make a motion to move Mike Hesser up to the full seat
I make a motion, go ahead, Joe.
to June 30th, 2015. Okay, a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None, abstention, motion carries. And then we would put Bob Smith on to the alternate seat until June 30th, 2015. And we'll have to, all right? Bob, you want to say anything? Yes, you.
Again, Bob, it's just attendance is happening.
And quite frankly, Bill will tell you, the alternates usually are seated anyway, because somebody's always missing. Carl.
We don't want to mention his name, Carl.
Okay. Bob, you want to say anything?
You know, I serve on the Little League Board, I was on the Vestry Church. I'll probably be on the soccer board next year. I do go to the meetings, I do volunteer and participate. So I'm planning on going to the meetings and doing whatever's necessary to benefit everybody in town.
Are you on Park and Rec also?
No,
Oh, okay.
no. I spend a lot of time at Park and Rec.
Sounds like it.
And I do have a good relationship with Bo and Harry and Pete, Tommy Carmody and his crew, Hesser and his crew. And Lois, yep, and Lois. So,
Okay. Have a motion and a second.
Also moved.
Second. All right, all in favor, Bob?
Aye.
Opposed? Non-abstention, motion carries.
No, I think I got unanimous.
Thank you, Bob. All right.
You were unanimous, Joyce.
The tax relief ordinances that we had public hearing for last week.
Sworn in.
Public hearing is favorable. Look at the minutes, some clarifications for some people that were in attendance. Once they understood what particularly the fireman's benefit was, they were happy with it. So the first ordinance to act on would be to extend the volunteer fire department tax exemption program for another year. Second on that? Any discussion on that? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? None. Abstention, motion carries. The next ordinance would be to enhance or amend the resolution providing tax deferral for elderly disabled in the town of Clinton. In effect, this is raising the income level, which is currently at $55,000 to $60,000. So a motion on that?
Motion to approve the,
Elderly
make
disabled
that motion.
tax deferral.
I'll second.
All right, any discussion on that? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Non-abstention, motion carries. And then the third one is the town benefit for elderly disabled, which is the abatement program. And this, in effect, would raise the income level currently at 55 to 60 and allow for the max benefit, which is currently an abatement of $500 to go to $550. Again, this is based on the pot of money that is set aside. It's actually in the budget. It was increased from $130,000 to $180,000, recommendation of the tax board, the committee. It's divisible by the number of eligible applicants. This determines how much the abatement actually is. So it can be up to $550, it could be less.
But no more.
But no more than, okay? All right, all in favor? Or make a motion, need a motion first. Motion?
Second.
See, Phil, you can't hear him, where's Phil? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Non-abstention, motion carries. Phil said that, he can never hear anybody but you and I, Carol.
Oh, why's that?
You guys talk quietly, you're very quiet.
I can't imagine.
All right, moving on, selectmen's report. We'll start down, Ray?
Well, I really enjoyed the fireman's banquet. It was a nice evening. Other than that, things seem to be...
Oh, Jesus. Ray had the benefit of us having his back towards everything that was speaking.
Yeah.
And making faces. All right, thanks, Ray. John got it. Okay. Lynn? Carol? Go ahead.
I need to know for the Bike and Pedestrian Alliance, how many of the Board of Selectmen are going to be in the parade? And you do not have to wear a costume.
I want to. I'm
You
just
do?
not wearing a helmet.
No, you don't have to be in I think they want us to walk. They want us to walk, but they did want us to walk in costume.
When
And
is it?
that's awesome.
May 4th.
May 4th, so everybody?
It's on Sunday.
Yeah. Saturday, May 4th. Okay.
All right. You know, we don't have a new business, old business portion of our agenda. It's not published on the agenda. So some of these things I would go under new business. And this is one of those. And one of them is, it was brought to our attention this week, via email to each of us, that there's a big blight situation going on in town that somebody has complained about many, many times, and nothing has happened. What do we have to do to take action on that situation?
I spoke with the resident today, and been back and forth a little bit, emailed with him, and with the zoning officer. There was never an official complaint filed, so that is being done.
Okay.
According to the ordinance, you have to have a
A
complaint.
blight complaint
Correct,
or a?
correct.
Okay.
And then he cannot get access to the property, so we were trying to get access.
The ZEO cannot get access?
So we're trying to get access through the neighbor's property and the land trust property in the back. And Tom's gonna meet with the residents and go through that with them.
Right,
All right.
okay, because not only is that a blight, that looks like a huge health hazard.
You can't walk on the property without permission
No.
from the owner.
Is there a time frame attached to this?
Tom's gonna call them today and set up a meeting.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good, good, good. And I hope we stay apprised of how that situation goes. Speaking of blight, et cetera, what is going on with the Munger household?
waiting, well, Pete's gonna go in there probably in a week or two. Once he gets done with his field commitments for the spring, basically I gave Mrs. Munger a chance with a dumpster there. We're gonna have Public Works is gonna go in with the tree service guy, we're gonna clean the yard, cut the trees,
But she still has ownership of the
yeah,
property?
but we're leaving the property. Fix or replace the fence, I got prices to do both. And then we have to address the house, which, as the order says, is supposed to be torn down.
Would you fix the fence if you're gonna tear the house down?
Well, you're gonna have to have a fence there one way or another.
I know, but I'd do it after.
Right. So we're cleaning the property first, and then we gotta address the house.
But she maintains ownership of the property? We're doing all this?
You can't take it away.
Can't take it away from her, but the judge at the court order basically told her she had to address these issues by the end of January. Now, we've given her a little bit of, she tried to let her take care of it herself, which she hasn't done. The only thing, there's some branches in the dumpster. I think she threw the tenant out in the other house and threw his crap in the dumpster, but nothing regarding the house that was the result of, the court order. So basically, the order says clean the property, cut the trees, and take the house down.
So the services become a lien on the property, is that what you're saying?
Yeah. And we're first in
I don't
line.
think anybody wants to see that house come down. It's a beautiful house.
Nobody does, but you know what? Enough people have looked at it that have knowledge. I mean, you can fix anything if you throw money at it. If you throw money at it, you can fix anything, but who's gonna throw the money? And I have the Historical Society. I've had a bunch of people. Where you been?
Great talker, but when it comes to.
Well, it's down, it's down.
Where you been? We can't save everything,
See it come
unfortunately.
down, though. Well, I understand the inside, yes. It's exactly the same the way it was the day the fire happened, she walked out the door and that was the end of everything. But that's a shame, there are no winners there at all. One other thing was, you probably all got the same email from CCM that they're holding a Connecticut Emergency Management Symposium on May 8th, that's a Wednesday. It just sounded like a really good idea.
You wanna go? I've been to it.
Yeah, I do.
Where is it?
I would like to sign
Probably.
up for that. It's usually the second Wednesday of the month, so the meetings are usually at 7 o'clock at night. So, yeah, Mary, I would like to go to
Like the
that.
FEMA meeting yesterday. 4 times in 2 years I had the list.
And in old business, there comes your spanking, Willie.
Well, I already heard.
Last week, yes, last week when we approved the minutes, we had tabled the discussion of Lori and Leah for 1 week. And last week at the selectmen's meeting, when Ray wasn't there, very conveniently, you
No.
forgot and said, oh, no, we
I
tabled
didn't
it for 2 weeks.
forget, I didn't forget, I had to do the agenda because Mary was out. Otherwise,
Right.
Mary would have said,
But-
by the way.
But you knew it was only tabled for 1 week. This should have been up for vote last week. But I think we were manipulated so that you would have the majority seated here, so that the vote would absolutely be going your way.
I wasn't available last week.
I said that too,
I
neither one of them were
Well-
available to come last week too.
We had a
But-
vote
The
set.
meeting before that, you guys wanted them there. That was the whole point of tabling it the prior time, because you guys wanted them
But we
there.
weren't offered even that choice last week. You told me that, no, we had tabled it for 2 weeks, when in
I said
fact,
Dave couldn't be here
we
that night.
had tabled it for 1 week. Well, we should have had the opportunity to discuss it and vote last week, whether that was the situation or not. All right? All right, there you go.
I get stuck having to do the agenda because, and Mary
I know.
texted me
I
at 3 in the
know.
afternoon on Tuesday, did you do the agenda?
Well, I know. All right,
All right.
that's it.
Okay, thanks. Not much to report, other than the bulkhead project, John next door is basically done. They did a good job. They're moving into the building next door, Justin signed all the building permits, they're getting going on that.
First meeting at 10.
10 o'clock, we got a construction meeting today. And we have the big fundraiser here Friday night for Paul Hotchkiss, who's 48, he's got a severe illness, 3 young boys. Anybody that wants to come, I have tickets upstairs, there's $20 a person. It's a BYOB in the auditorium, and it's Rock Bottom's donating their services as a band, so it's basically just a dance. And we've got a huge raffle silent auction, there's so much stuff. I met with the group last night, that's when you popped in the roast, that's the group I was with. We were fun, oh boy, you're driving me crazy. But, and overwhelming support, so if anyone wants to take her or wants to come, feel free. And doing something good for somebody from Clinton who's got his own business. self-employed, there's no money coming in because he's sick, and he's got a family to support, so. All right, that's all I had. Motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? None, abstentions, no motion carried.